In this video, I'm going to tell you about the 5 best destinations to live in South America as a digital nomad. So whether you want to live there for 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year, these are my best recommendations. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Sara Masadi. I'm an online entrepreneur who has been living in Medellin, Colombia for the last 4 years. And while I've been in Colombia, I've been able to travel all across South America, experience different countries, different cities. Each destination that I'm about to list out, I have rated in terms of cost of living, safety, and weather. So without any further ado, let's dive in. So number 5 on this list is Buenos Aires, Argentina. Now, Buenos Aires is one of the most amazing places I've ever seen in my entire life. It's a very European style of living over there, but you're in Latin America and you're speaking Spanish. It has a very Italian influence to it, so it's very popular for Italian dishes. In fact, when you walk on the streets of Buenos Aires, you'll see salami shops, you'll see pizza shops. It's unbelievable. So overall, in terms of cost of living, Buenos Aires is very cheap. For example, I went for a steak dinner in Buenos Aires to one of the best steakhouses, and I only spent $10 US for a full meal with a steak, fries, and a drink. So overall cost of living, Buenos Aires probably one of the cheapest places I've ever been to in South America. If you want to get a place to rent and to live, you can easily get something for $500-600 a month, and it would be a really nice, apartment in a good area. Now, in terms of the weather, Buenos Aires actually experiences both a summer and a winter. Now, because it's in the southern hemisphere, their winter is actually the months of June, July, August, September, whereas their summer is reversed into December, January, February. So the best time to actually go to Buenos Aires, Argentina is around that January, February time after the Christmas holidays, because you're going to get that warm weather where it's about 25 degrees Celsius and it's in that 80 range Fahrenheit for the Americans watching this video. Now, in terms of safety, Buenos Aires, Argentina is actually probably the safest out of all these 5 places that I'm about to list. Now, obviously, there's dangerous areas you shouldn't go. For example, places like Puerto Pachi or Villa 31. Like, you don't want to go to these dangerous areas unless you're like a loco like me who just wants to go for the thrill of it. But truthfully, you probably shouldn't go to those areas. But if you're in the nice areas like Puerto Madero, you're going to have a great time. You can walk outside freely. You won't have to worry about being robbed or mugged or anything like that. It's relatively safe. Now, obviously, because you're not in a first world country, yes, definitely operate with some level of caution, but for the most part, you'll be okay. Now, number 4 on this list is Lima, Peru. Now, Lima, I had mixed feelings about originally. When I first landed in Lima, Peru, the first night was not so good for me. It was very cold in weather. People were not so nice to me. I felt like people were intentionally overcharging me. But then after a few days of getting to know the area, it completely changed. First of all, Lima has a big Chinese influence, a very oriental influence, and it bleeds into the gastronomy over there. In fact, the food is delicious. The national food of Peru is lomo saltado, which is essentially stir fry. It is delicious. It's beef stir fry. So if you like spicy food, delicious food, noodles, sushi, this kind of stuff, Peru is the best for it. I've never had more delicious food than I had in Lima, Peru. So if you like food, Lima's the best place for that. Second, cost of living. Lima is so cheap. I remember getting this big, huge ramen bowl that I couldn't even finish. It was literally this big, and it was $4 US for that bowl. So overall, in terms of food, very, very cheap. In terms of cost of living and rent, also very cheap. You can definitely get a 1-bedroom apartment there for $500 US or under. I like to live in nicer areas, so I'm not, worried every time. I'm sure you could probably find cheaper, but if you're looking for something with safety in a good location, central, then yeah, you're going to be spending about $500 a month, which is still very, very cheap compared to, prices in other places of the world. Now, when it comes to safety in Lima, Peru, now this is again an area where you have to take care more. It's not as safe as, just walking in the streets with your phone out. Like, you can't do that in Lima. In fact, the first night that I landed in Lima, Peru, I remember I was walking on the streets. I was just there by myself, and I was just texting on my phone like this, and some guy came up to me and he said, "Hey, put your phone in your pocket. People will come up to you and rob you here. This is not a safe area. Be careful." And I was actually in a very, rich area of the city. I was surprised he came up to me and said that. He said, "No, people can come and swipe your phone out of your hands at any given moment. Be careful, operate with caution." So thankfully, nothing happened to me when I was in Peru. I was very, cautious after that point, but it is something to take into effect. And look, the reality is when you're in South America, yes, you have to take a higher level of caution than if you were in Canada, right? For example, they're 2 different worlds. You can't compare them to each other. you have to be more careful. So when I was in Lima, when that guy came up to me and told me to put my phone in my pocket, I got the idea. So yeah, you got to take care when you are in a place like Lima. And if you do take care, again, you'll be perfectly fine. Now, in terms of weather, Lima, Peru is very similar to Buenos Aires in the sense that their winter is in the months of June, July, and August, and their summers are in the months of January, February, and March. In the summer months, the temperature can get as high as 27, 28 degrees, which is really, really warm. But in the winter months, it can actually drop and get pretty cold to about like 14, 15 degrees Celsius. I remember being there in the month of May, and I was there in the evening, and it was cold. Like I had to have a jacket on. It was like 12, it dropped to almost 12 degrees Celsius when I was there in the evening. It's not somewhere you can just walk with a t-shirt on in those winter months. So it is something to keep aware of when you're there. Now, another beauty of Lima is all the beauties of Peru that come with it too. For example, you can get on a flight to Cusco, Peru, and go and see Machu Picchu and go see the Machu Picchu village and so many different things. Peru is one of the most diverse, interesting countries I've ever seen. I was only able to scratch the surface of what Peru had to offer as a country, and there's so much more. So I have every reason to go back, and I actually do plan on going back. So Lima definitely has solidified the 4th spot on this list. Now, number 3 on this list is Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Now, I just got back from Rio, and it was one of the most magical trips I've ever been on my entire life. There's so much to do in Rio, from the Copacabana beach, where you can literally rent a bike for like $2 an hour, and you can bike down the entire beach with this amazing view. It's a beautiful, people there are beautiful. People are super, super nice. Overall, it's just a great experience. And if you're someone like me who enjoys kind of seeing both sides of the city, there's favela tours you can do where you can go and see the favelas. I have another video on that. You can come and watch that one right here. The food and the gastronomy in Brazil is amazing. They're very famous for their meat and their steaks, similar to Buenos Aires, Argentina. Now, in terms of cost of living, I found that Rio was actually slightly more expensive than Buenos Aires and Lima, Peru. For example, if you wanted to enjoy a good steak dinner in a relatively nice restaurant, you're going to be spending 20, 30 US dollars for that good meal. Now, obviously, if you want to go to the favelas like I did in this video over here, I got an all-you-can-eat steak buffet in the favelas, and it only cost me 7 US dollars, right? So again, it's very contextual to where you are in the city. If you're in like those nice areas, yeah, you're going to be paying more. If you're in favelas or lower income areas, it's actually going to be much cheaper. So that's that. In terms of getting a place to rent, again, if you want to get a place to rent in a good area, it's going to cost you about $600 a month for a nice place in a secure location. In terms of the weather is beautiful almost all year round. Like you can go to the beach. Now, there are some months, again, those months of July and August where it's a little bit colder. You could still go to the beach, but it's a little bit colder, right? It drops to like the low 20s, high teens, like 18, 19 degrees Celsius, 20 degrees Celsius. But in the summer months where I just came from, which was the month of January, it can get as high as 35 degrees Celsius. So if you like being outdoors, if you like being in the beach, it's an amazing experience. So in terms of the weather, I will give Rio de Janeiro an A+. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful weather. Now, in terms of safety, I've heard a lot of dangerous things about Rio de Janeiro. Like there's a lot of pickpocketers. It's apparently one of the most famous places in the world for pickpocketing. So there is danger, right? And in fact, when I got there, I accidentally got my hotel in a kind of sketchy area. It was the center of the city. When my tour guide picked me up, he kind of asked me, he's like, why did you get your hotel here? It's not really a safe area. I didn't know, but even though I was there, I didn't feel too worried, right? There are some dodgy areas and you have to take care. So for example, like don't walk on the street with your phone out. You could get robbed. You can get someone to take your phone from you. But again, if you play it securely, if you operate properly, keep your phone in your pocket when you're walking outside, when you're at the beach, don't leave your belongings just like sitting there by themselves, you will be totally fine. And again, if you do want to go to the favelas or, any of those other kind of neighborhoods, make sure you go with a tour guide or someone from that area. Don't go to those areas alone under any circumstances. So overall, Rio de Janeiro, I absolutely love, and I will most definitely be going back. There's so much to do there, from the paragliding to the beaches to the favelas. Like you will not get bored in Rio, and people love to party there. So if you like partying, there's a lot of partying in Rio to be done. So you will enjoy that. Now, number 2 on the list is Mexico City, Mexico. Now, before you freak out, I am well aware that Mexico is not in South America. It is actually a part of North America. But just for the sake of this video, because it's Latin culture, because it's Latino, I'm including it in this South America. If you want to get mad at me, fine, but I'm still including it in this list, even though I know it's North America. Now, Mexico City is amazing. It's the biggest city in North America, so you will never, ever, ever get bored being in Mexico City. Literally, I can tell you like 20 things to do, from lucha libre to Garibaldi to going to Valquirico, which is like this Italian little village like 40 minutes outside of the city. There's so much to do in Mexico City. So I loved being in Mexico City. In fact, I have a video right here where it was my entire experience in Mexico City. You can watch that one over there. Now, I'll tell you right now, when it comes to Mexico City, first thing, in terms of cost of living, it is actually the most expensive place I've been to in South America. I think because it has a heavy American influence, things cost a lot more. For example, if you want to rent an apartment in Mexico City, you're probably going to be spending closer to $1,000 a month for a good apartment in a good location, which is, you know, quite pricey compared to all the other places I was just telling you, right? Now, the second thing is the weather. In terms of weather in Mexico City is actually a more temperate climate. It's actually a bit colder. It's not really tropical, right? If you want to go tropical, then you can go to like Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum. Like those areas are a lot warmer. Mexico City is about like 15 to 16 degrees Celsius pretty much all year round, right? For example, when I was in Mexico City, I was wearing a t-shirt and pants pretty much every single day. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend going to Mexico City if you're looking for that hot tropical climate. I would definitely say go south for that. But again, it's not cold by any means, right? You can still get by with a shirt and pants on and you'll have a great time. Now, my favorite thing about Mexico City is the food. Oh my goodness, the tacos, the enchiladas, the food, the street food, everything is absolutely delicious. Now, I'm someone who loves spicy food. I always look for the spiciest food. Literally, the title of this video is me looking for the spiciest food in Mexico. But truthfully, if you love Mexican food, Mexican culture, you will love Mexico City. Every single meal I had in Mexico City was delicious. Even when I'm in Canada, I'm eating Mexican food. So for me to be in Mexico City and eat that food directly there was amazing. Absolutely love Mexico City. Now, in terms of safety, you absolutely have to take care in Mexico City. When I was downtown in Mexico City, I was shocked with how much police and military there was in the downtown core. There were cars, pickup trucks with like 10, 15 people of police officers, military officials sitting there with machine guns, just holding the place down. Now, I think that made me feel a little bit more safe, but it also made me a little bit more concerned. Like, why is there so much police presence there? So again, take care when you're in Mexico City. When you're walking down the street, keep your phone in your pocket, you know, keep aware of your surroundings, look left, look right. But again, if you take a decent amount of caution, you will be perfectly fine. And as usual, don't go to those sketchy areas, right? If you want to go to the barrios of Mexico City, go with someone who lives there, go with a local, go with the tour guide so that you'll be all good to go. But don't go to those areas by yourself. So overall, number 2 on this list is Mexico City. I absolutely love it. The food is amazing. The cost of living is a little bit higher than I would have wanted, but that's all right. And again, the safety and security, if you take care, you'll be okay. Now, number 1 on this list is, without a doubt, Medellin, Colombia. Now, I've been living here for 4 years and I absolutely love it. I originally came here in 2019 just for a vacation with my friends. And I went and visited the 4 main cities of Colombia when I was here. I went to Medellin, I went to Bogota, I went to Santa Marta, and I went to Cartagena. And I stayed here for a decent amount of time. And above all of them, I fell in love with Medellin. First of all, the weather in Medellin is absolutely perfect. It's 24 degrees Celsius all year round. So if you want to wear shorts and t-shirt, you can. If you want to wear a shirt and a pants, you can. It's literally the perfect climate. I never felt too hot. I never feel too cold. It's perfect. If you want to go for a swim, if you want to go for a walk, you can do it all. It's the best. And the beauty of Medellin is that this weather is consistent all year round. Now, obviously there's rainy season and that happens, but truthfully, out of all the places I've mentioned, the best weather in probably the entire world, in my opinion, is Medellin, Colombia. Second thing, the cost of living. Now, the cost of living in Medellin is relatively cheap. I'll admit, since I got here until now, 4 years later, the prices have definitely risen, but you can get a nice, beautiful 1 or 2 bedroom apartment here in Medellin in a very safe area, which is El Poblado, and you can get that for about $800 a month or less. Now, if you do Airbnb, it's probably going to be more expensive, but if you're able to get in direct contact with the landlord, you could get it for a lot cheaper. So that's something I would definitely advise you to do if you are looking to rent for about a month or longer. here. Now, when it comes to food in Medellin, it's a little hard for me to say it's absolutely delicious because I've been living here for 4 years, right? So I've figured out which are the best restaurants, right? I can list them all to you. For example, if you want the best Indian food in Medellin, you go to Zaika. If you want the best Arabic food, you go to Creta, right? There's a lot of places that have really good food, but you got to know where to go. You cannot just walk into any restaurant in Medellin and it'll be delicious food. You got to know the right spots to go to. So if you don't know the right spots, then you got to be careful, right? I wouldn't say it's the best food. For example, I like Colombian food, right? But it's very simple. It's just rice, beef, salad, right? Like not a lot of spices. They have, traditional dishes like mondongo, sancocho. Again, those are good soups. I like them. They're not super flavorful like Mexican food, for example, but they're good enough, right? So again, this is just me speaking about my preference. I'm sure some people might love Colombian food, but overall, in terms of food, you just got to know the right restaurants to go to, right? Now, next, in terms of safety, and I don't say this with any pride at all, that you have to take care of Medellin. Medellin is unfortunately probably one of the most dangerous cities out of the other 5 that I've mentioned. But again, you can be totally okay if you take care. For example, 2 weeks ago, I just came back from winter holidays in Canada and I came to Medellin and I had a brand new iPhone 15 and I was walking on the streets with my iPhone 15 like this. Some motorbike came behind me, snatched the phone right out of my hands, and it was gone forever. And truthfully, they even have a phrase in Colombia, in Medellin, that they say, no dar papaya, which basically means don't look rich. Don't look like you have things for people to steal. So you have to be extra careful, right? Medellin is not a place where you can walk on the streets, texting on your phone or wearing gold or looking rich. You have to take care when you are in Medellin. But again, look, I've been here for 4 years and this is the only time anything's ever happened to me because for the most part, I have taken care. So if you take care, you walk around with your phone in your pocket, you don't wear gold, you don't try and look rich, you won't attract the wrong attention and you will be okay. But overall, I absolutely love Medellin, Colombia. First of all, in terms of time zone, it's the same time zone as Toronto and New York. Toronto, where I'm from, so I never skip a beat. I'm still very close with my family. Second is the people are wonderful. The Colombian culture is the most magical, warm, welcoming culture I've ever seen in my life. I remember one of the first days I was in Colombia, I needed to pop out my SIM card from my phone and put in a new SIM card. And I was kind of like frazzled figuring out how to do it. And this woman saw me frazzled. She went like this, pulled out her earring, said, here, use my earring. So I used her earring to pop open the SIM tray, put in my SIM card, close it, and I gave her obviously her earring back. And I didn't even ask her. I was just so grateful. I was like, wow, someone paid attention to my situation like that. And these are not just random occurrences. These happen all the time. Colombian people are very warm and welcoming. They're the nicest people in the entire world. I've had the privilege of traveling pretty much all across the world, right? I've been in places like Iran, Pakistan. I've been to Dubai. I've been to Turkey. I've been to Italy. I've been to, Ireland, England, United States, Canada. I've been all over. But the nicest people in the world are Paisa Colombians, which are people from Antioquia, Medellin, that area. Nicest people. Honestly, when you come to Medellin, you will have the easiest time making friends. People are so welcoming. People will invite you to their friend groups. People will invite you to their homes. I love Medellin. Truthfully, out of this entire list that I've mentioned, if there's one place I recommend you go first, is to Medellin, Colombia. Enjoy the people, enjoy the culture, just enjoy yourself. There's so much to do here, right? If you want to go paragliding one day, you can do that. If you want to go to a Nacional or Medellin soccer game, you can go and do that, right? You can just go and spend time with a local and they'll show you around their favorite spots. They'll go and do that. There's just so much to do in Medellin. Obviously, yes, you have to take care, but overall, Medellin is a dream. It is perfect weather, amazing people, beautiful people. Overall, you will absolutely love Medellin when you come here. And that's why I've stayed here for so long. So with that being said, those are my 5 top destinations to live as a digital nomad when you're traveling South America. I appreciate you watching this video. Do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.